and asked him about it, and he said, well, actually, I would have become a missionary, but I was married. And as I said, at that time, I was free. I wanted to change job. I wasn't married or anything like this, and so it was the right time for me. Now, I decided not to make any decision there and then. Instead, I went back home to speak to my parents, and they said, don't speak to your mother, because I didn't think I would be accepted. I was about only 3-4 months into the Jamaat, and obviously wasn't that well educated. I was old, 23, normally you go 16 to Jamia, so I didn't think I'd be accepted, but this was something I felt I wanted to at least try to do. So everybody said, my friends and everybody said, well, it's your life, you do what you want to do. So I said, well, this is what I want to do. Now, as I said, this is how Allah works, because this was 1983. There was no Jalsa in 1984. There had never been a Jalsa since. So I never had an opportunity to go to Pakistan. But fortunately, this money suddenly came. I was able to go to that Jalsa, able to meet the students, and so the idea came. A year later, I may have had a different job, I may have been married, who knows. But at that time, everything was just right to become a missionary. And so this is how I see that Allah helped me. So when I decided, I wrote to the Khalifa. I had a mulaqat with the Khalifa, of course, at the Jalsa Stana. But I wrote to him and explained my desire that I would like to become a missionary. And of course, when I had this mulaqat with Hazur, he said, motivate the youth. So I thought, okay, how am I going to do this? So I came back and I spoke to one of the Qadam, and he said, okay, well, I'll take you around, we can help you. So what I found out there was we went to different Qadam who were now inactive, but there was a link, and that link went back to the Atfal. And that's where I started realising the importance of these Atfal classes, that, you get to know one another. So once I had met them, they were eager, and I was saying, well, okay, we'll have football matches, we'll have meetings. And so we was able to motivate, in fact, 3 Jamaats into one, which caused some problems, because obviously they like to keep the Jamaat separate. But there were people from Qadam from all these different 3 Jamaats, and we meet at the Southall Mosque. And alhamdulillah, it was very good times, and really the Jamaat got very well motivated. So much so that, of course, when the report came to Hadi Ali Sahib, the missionary in Southall, that what is this person like, he wrote back where he's doing missionary work anyway now. So because we was activating the Qadam there, of course there was also the problem, power struggle. Southall Jamaat wanted me, Greenford Jamaat wanted me, so that was something they had to sort out. In the end I had to go to Greenford Jamaat because it was nearer to Wembley. But alhamdulillah, we was able to activate the Jamaat, and alhamdulillah, that then gave a basis, because still nowadays we meet these people. So it was, of course, then coming to September when I would go to Jamia, but then of course Azur came in April, and so I was very fortunate. I had about 3 or 4 months with Azur.
Okay. Yeah, you just mentioned your experience of meeting Hazur in Rabwa. Was that the first time you had met the Khalifa?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, right. First time. And what was your thoughts and feelings?
I mean, I was very lucky. I mean, alhamdulillah, how Allah works. I mean, there was 2 mulaqats. There was a group mulaqat where Hazur said that 4 people have said that they were responsible for becoming an MD, and who was the person, right. Which was quite embarrassing. But then when I went for a separate mulaqat, unfortunately the time ran out, so they said to come back after the prayers. So I came back after the prayers, and of course now Hazur was free, so I had about 10 minutes with Hazur, which at Jalsa time, you usually only get a minute, 2 minutes if you're lucky. So that was alhamdulillah very inspiring, meeting Hazur. Of course he gave me that burden of activating the Qadam, but alhamdulillah, again he saw the need for that. But yeah, it was a very good mulaqat. Of course I expected then, I don't know why, but I expected then that Hazur would remember me when he came to England. So obviously when Hazur came, I got a phone call, come quickly, Hazur's come. So I attended the very first meeting that Hazur came, and then of course he set up this question answer sessions. He said, look, I'm not going to have mulaqats, I'm going to have question answer sessions. So I used to go to nearly most of the question answer sessions, and I think after about 4 or 5 days, I brought one English Ahmadi with me. Not very active, but so I was trying to get him activated. And he asked a question to Azur. So he said that, look, I've come into a religion. Why is there all this politics? Why do you want me to write to the MPs about the persecution in Pakistan? What's this got to do with my religion? So Azur said, very good question, but first of all, who are you? Now, I don't know why, but I presume because I dedicated my life, Azur knew who I was. But when I think about it, of course, I didn't have a beard when I met Azur. And why should he meet me? He only met me once. So, of course, everybody said, so. And then Azur said, oh, right, so you're so. So then he answered the question. But from then on, of course, I saw Azur very regularly. There was no bodyguards in those days, so I used to do the security duties and obviously attend the question answers and bring friends and ask questions. So it was a very blessed time.
So you started Jamia in 84 then?
Yes,
right,
September
1984. Would you tell us some of your experiences in Rabwa?
Alhamdulillah, it was a wonderful place. We say that if you can live in Rabwa, you can live anywhere in the world. And of course, everything's still extreme. Initially, when I went there, they put me in Dar Ziyafat. And I was saying, I want to move into the hostel. And they were very reluctant. Of course, when I finally did get moved to the hostel, I wish I was back at Dar Ziyafat. The food was wonderful there. But anyway. Everything's, like I say, still extreme. So, especially like the weather, extremely hot, and then when it rains, it just buckets down so much so that the water doesn't sink, and you've got hailstones floating there, and all the flies are just constantly around you all the time, things like that. But when I first went there, they said, "Oh, you're going to really suffer. The heat here is very, very bad." So I said, "Okay, yeah, very good." And so I said, okay, but Ramadan, because Ramadan was in July that year, or June, July, I'm not sure which one, but one of the hottest months in Pakistan. And they said, oh, you need to fast because you're a student. I said, what's this nonsense? I said, no, I'm going to fast. They said, oh, the second Khalifa said you don't have to fast. Said, of course I'm going to fast. So I said, not only am I going to fast, but I want to say etikaf. So they had to date, I don't know, about 16, 17 exams in about 22 to 3 days. So I brought the exams forward so that I had time to go to etikaf. So not only did I have exams, I had Ramadan, but also I had the etikaf there. And literally I'll be in my cubicle and I have a bucket there, swim trunks on, and just read the books and scoop water over my head. Because of course it's concrete floor, the water would just run out, and keep yourself cool like that. But it was lovely, the people were lovely, and I enjoyed my time very good. I was very fortunate, of course, we had many foreign students there, and of course with Jamia, you have to get a pass mark of all your subjects of 75%. Right. So if you do bad in one, it can bring down your percentage. So everybody was keen to speak to me in English because they had to improve the English. So the idea was they would speak to me in English and I would speak back to Urdu. But if you're going to speak to me in English, I started speaking back in English, and of course my medium was in English. They made an English medium class for me, and so Urdu was just really just one lesson of the different things. And of course afterwards that's where you do your main studies, and you had so much work to do that you go to your favourites first, and so Urdu got pushed to the end while I concentrate on the other works. So unfortunately my Urdu wasn't as good as it should be, but besides that it was a wonderful time and fond memories.
There must have been many faith-inspiring events that occurred during this time. Is there any particular one that you can remember and could share with us today?
Well, one thing which I never used to do was pray for money. I wasn't interested in money, but I remember one time Azhar Hanif, my fellow student who's American, 6 or 7, he's now missionary in America,